In this video, I will be discussing the pedigree of the Gallagher family featured in the TV show Shameless. Specifically, I will be discussing the inheritance of recessive bipolar disorder trait that affects members of this family. Before analyzing the pedigree, it is important to note what the following symbols represent. A square represents a male, while a circle represents a female. If a shape is unshaded, it's an unaffected individual. If it is half shaded, it represents an individual that is a carrier, and if the shape is shaded, it is an affected individual. To begin, we have Frank Gallagher, whose alleles are expressed as homozygous dominant that codes for normal mental health. Meanwhile, his ex-wife Monica Gallagher is homozygous recessive for expressing the trait of bipolar disorder. Together, this couple had 5 children, Fiona, Lip, Debbie, Carl, and Liam, who are all carriers and have the alleles big B, little b because their mother has both recessive alleles and their father has both dominant alleles. This means that in order for the children to show the trait of bipolar disorder, they would need to inherit both homozygous recessive alleles. However, when completing a Punnett square, there was a 100% probability for all of their children to simply be carriers and show the genotype big B, little b. To continue, Monica Gallagher also had another son with a man named Clayton Gallagher, who happens to be the brother of Frank Gallagher. He is a carrier of the bipolar disorder trait expressing the genotype big B, little b. Together, Clayton and Monica had a son named Ian Gallagher, who was homozygous recessive, showing the trait for bipolar disorder. Moreover, the third child of Frank and Monica, Debbie Gallagher, had a daughter with Derek Delgado, who happens to be affected and has a genotype of little b, therefore showing the phenotype of bipolar disorder. Because of this, their daughter Franny Gallagher had a 50% chance of being affected and a 50% chance of being a heterozygous carrier. Franny was born and grew up to be affected by the recessive alleles, being homozygous recessive and showing the trait of bipolar disorder. In terms of modes of inheritance, autosomal recessive is the most applicable possibility, for there are examples of the trait skipping generations of showing affected individuals, such as in Frank and Monica's children, who are only carriers, while it shows in others such as Franny. Autosomal recessive also fits as a description of this pedigree because it follows the rule of each affected person having both parents as carriers or one parent as a carrier and one as a homozygous recessive. Ian Gallagher has the affected parent Monica and carrier parent Clayton, while Franny has the affected parent Derek and carrier parent Debbie. Moreover, there are a few modes of inheritance that simply do not fit, one being autosomal dominant. For an autosomal dominant, only one copy of a disease allele is necessary for an individual to express the phenotype, but in the case of this pedigree, an individual must express 2 recessive alleles to show the phenotype of bipolar disorder.